All right, thank you everybody for coming and joining us today for our October 13th West Virginia Entrepreneur Ecosystem meeting. We've got a great group out today. It looks like we're in the mid-20s, which, I think back a couple years ago when it was me and Jamie and Joe Cap and a couple more people sitting around a table in our RCBI's Bridgeport facility talking about could we make this thing a go. So it's great to see everybody. We do have, as we've started to do, we're going to start with a program highlight today. We were lucky to get Sarah Biller, who's also going to be part of our November Entrepreneurship Ecosystem Symposia. But we wanted to give a chance. I know I would like to know more about Vantage Ventures and what's going on. And I maybe have heard a couple of things about them over the last week because they've had some interesting things going on. But Sarah, if you are here, we'll turn it over to you and let you talk to us. Make sure you're off mute. Yep, there you are.
Bill, thank you. And hi, everybody. I'm Sarah. I don't think we've had a chance to meet, but I really, Bill, appreciate that very dangling little moment, a chance to share with you a bit of Vantage Ventures. And then we've just passed our first year anniversary, and then just maybe one or two sentences on Hyperloop. But I guess I'll start with just, even though we have not met, just a note of thanks. Vantage Ventures began sort of as a twinkle in the eye of John Chambers when he made a donation, as you all know, to the West Virginia University. And I had a chance to join just shortly thereafter. John had been a mentor of mine. I'm a native West Virginian, and like all West Virginians, and you all probably know this as well, the benefit of our commitment to one another's mutual success has transcended in our work at Vantage. And this past year, the other thing that I think I've observed is we've worked to build an ecosystem here, building off of Tara Sinclair's work and the work of Carrie White, is that we didn't start from scratch. Every one of you on this call has done a tremendous amount of work to advance West Virginia and the individuals who see themselves as problem thinkers. So I guess I should start like most always should when they are benefiting from the work of others and say thank you for bringing a foundation to this entrepreneurial ecosystem, and then more importantly, inspiring the dreams of West Virginians. We see it in the students and the faculty who come to us who want to build tech companies. And that's kind of what led us into this partnership with Hyperloop, quite honestly, was the existing commitment in the state of West Virginia. And actually, to be honest, unexpected commitment and talent and tenaciousness that led the Virgin Hyperloop team when they arrived back in October for their first, some of them, their first trip to West Virginia. It was quite shocking. I would never have thought people had not been to West Virginia, but apparently some have not. But when they joined us in Morgantown, and across the past 10 months, they have encountered deeply talented, unexpected capabilities that take us from the ground, the individuals who work with their hands, who understand what it means to manufacture and operate complex machinery, all the way up to our most talented scientists and civil engineers and technologists. And, it spanned that whole spectrum that brought us to what, Bill, you alluded to in your opening statements, that West Virginia will be the home of a certification center, that they will invest. I was just on a call with them, $500 million with a dream of achieving regulatory certainty and the building of an innovation ecosystem around the Hyperloop. I can answer a few questions if you want me to, Bill, but I really just appreciate the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Vantage, its first year, what we've done, and most importantly, say thanks. I don't think that's said enough to people who are on the ground, the invisible hand of what happens when you're working with entrepreneurs and people who are pursuing their dreams.
Well, yeah, definitely. Thank you, Sarah. If you can tell us a little bit more for people on the call who may not be as familiar beyond the big news of the past week with what Vantage is trying to do and what you guys are trying to leverage on the ground here in West Virginia?
Yeah, thank you, Bill, for that prompting question. It's maybe where I should have started, as opposed to being like, woohoo, here we are. So Vantage really is trying to close, if you will, this broad notional idea of the access gap for entrepreneurs who are building capital efficient technology companies. We provide 3 ways to help, if you will, close that access gap. The first is we have a physical location in Morgantown. If you're ever in town, I hope you'll stop by. We're right across from Terra on University Avenue, and it's about 8,000 square feet. We have both flex space as well as offices, and it has a very tech-forward feeling to it when you walk in. It's got polished concrete floors. It has all those kind of things you think about when you walk into one of those modern co-working spaces. But we also have taken great care to reflect our West Virginia roots and history. So I think when you come into this space, hopefully you'll see it and you'll feel it. And we really wanted here to be a place where entrepreneurs could gather and have a sense of community. It's quite lonely to build companies, and we want to make sure they have an opportunity to learn and be supported. And the second thing we work to do is provide programming that is reflective of company formation strategies, understanding how to read term sheets, other things that you might see in a mature ecosystem where companies are actually out raising capital. And it's not obviously as easy as it sounds. If you don't know the lingo, you kind of get sussed out pretty quickly. So we want to make sure that they have that understanding all the way through to even help with legal, accounting, and other more routine things you might think about as an entrepreneur. And then the third thing that we're doing is we are actively trying to close the gap with venture capital. We're tapping our network of investors. We're hosting pitch days where we're bringing together angel investors both in and out of West Virginia, as well as, if you will, like family offices and institutional investment capital. So Bill, that's our thesis. And we are not right now, I would feel like, as mature as we could be, and it's nice to have this group here to draw upon in their experiences.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. If anybody has a question they want to tee up in chat or unmute yourself and ask, I guess I'd like to ask, I know you guys are kind of sector agnostic, but if you could describe the types of startups, the type of programs you're looking for, what do you think Vantage Ventures kind of sweet spot is there?
Yeah, and Bill, we actually have tried to begin, because it's hard to be all things to all people. And what we did early on was try to analyze the landscape in West Virginia and recognize, again, those unexpected strengths that you discover when you begin to unpack what has happened. As a native West Virginian, I have to say, I guess I was, none of us are surprised it's here, but when you really try to begin to synthesize it, be able to tell a cogent story about why West Virginia, the sectors that we determined for both our desire to retain entrepreneurs as well as attract them were 4 parts. They were life sciences, probably no surprise given the university's capabilities here, as well as the opportunity in our general population. By health sciences, we do mean more in the terms of like the diagnostic and health tech arena, as opposed to drug discovery or anything that's regulated. We also are deeply interested in areas related to IoT and data. So anywhere that we see data analytics uniquely positioned to leverage the strengths that exist in West Virginia, where we can help align our entrepreneurs with customers. I'll give you an example. We have a super talented team in residence. They're actually here today. I hope they have their masks on. I'm hidden away in a conference room. We have a team called Iconic Air, and they have the ability to collect climate data using drones and other diagnostic techniques, and structure that data in a way that help our natural gas and oil industries understand sensitive, perhaps release of maybe like excess gas or oil well leaks. But they also have a focus on sustainable models, as well as ESG, which, as we know, is a secular trend. I don't like to brag, but I will tell you, they just secured another $700,000 in an SBIR-STTR grant. So we're awfully proud of them as a team. And so that's an example of an IoT or data startup. We also are focused on, if you will, security, but security as a broad category. We think about it not only because of with entrepreneurs who are drawn to West Virginia or stay here because of our deep knowledge in cybersecurity, because of the federal agencies, but also entrepreneurs who are interested in ag tech, which we would think about categorically around food security, but also financial security. And uniquely positioned with financial security because of the needs of, different needs with mobile and banking and other instruments. That led us, by the way, to support the work in the legislature this year to create a fintech sandbox, which we could talk about at some point. But that is a huge draw to that particular segment of entrepreneurship and fintech. And then our last segment that we're focused on is broadly kind of characterized as infrastructure. And that's you can think about it like energy. And certainly that's why we aggressively pursued Virgin Hyperloop, because of infrastructure as it relates to transportation, autonomous vehicles, and other attendant entrepreneurial activities.
Very cool. Does anyone else have questions for Sarah? I've got 100, but want to give other people time to ask questions or talk. I guess, taking the unicorn off the table, what are some of the successes that you've seen with Vantage Ventures over the last year? I mean, obviously the giant in the room, but if you take it off the table, talk to us about some of the other things that you've had going on in this past year.
Yeah, well, we're definitely still learning and building. I would tell you it's been a year of discovery for us. And so we have a lot to learn. So we appreciate if anyone wants to share lessons, we would take them and incorporate them. I'd say some of our victories, our small wins have been, or not small wins, they're great wins. The one I mentioned with the Iconic Air team, they're recent graduates. They forewent jobs, full-time jobs to pursue their dream with Iconic Air, and that they've secured funding at the level they have, and it's non-dilutive capital is thrilling for us. A couple other things that I think have made us really excited is that we've seen individuals who are either West Virginians or they have some tie to West Virginia who've gone out and founded companies wanting to come back into the state and teach our entrepreneurs what it means to be founders. And so we have in residence here in the office, we have companies like Bravo Consulting, and they're a cloud-based company that provides secure exchanges largely for the defense industry, but they're moving into financial services. They came back and took an office here because they wanted to be able to actually support West Virginia, show what it meant to be a founding company, have a team in seat that kind of gathered around the coffee pot, if you will, and taught those lessons. So I think what we're trying to do is really understand how can we continue to build at each stage of the life cycle, from our earliest, guys that are just past idea stage, really going after their first customer like Iconic Air, trying to understand how do we retain our talent like Bravo Consulting, or at least attract them back, but knowing that we want to create entrepreneurship there. And then, as you said, they'll go after every once in a while the unicorns in the room that present themselves. Kelsey Kirby's on the call here too, and I would tell you, she and I probably would say we've never worked harder in our life with such great joy than pursuing Virgin Hyperloop these past 10 months.
That's awesome. That's amazing. And if I heard you right, you are willing to take people pre-venture. You work with people at an early stage there as well?
We do. Our goal is really to take them when they're ready. They're past ideation, they have a product they're ready to take into the market. We'd like to be able to leverage, as I started this conversation, the nationwide network of West Virginians who, when we tap them, they always say yes, both in-state and out-of-state, to provide networks of customers, potentially closing their funding gap, but certainly getting them ready to scale. That's our goal.
Great.
I guess I should say scale and stay. How about that?
Yeah. We face that a lot. We don't want to build you up so that you take it away or send it overseas.
For sure.
Anybody else? questions today? Well, Sarah, thank you so much. It was informative for me. I haven't got to meet you yet, so this was a great introduction to get to know you. And I hope you'll stick around and that Vantage Ventures continues to be represented on these calls. The ecosystem keeps building, and these calls have been good to connect, I think, organizations. Sometimes even on our same campus, we don't all talk at the same time. I'll say that, it's interesting to hear new and different things sometimes from partners that are in the same town, same locality, or same institution. So.
Yeah. And Bill, thank you for having us. I can't stress enough how our work has been made easier by all of you and what you did. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Next up, Hannah Vargason. I know I saw you tag in earlier, and I generically got it titled Growth Wheel Project, but any updates from the training group? I think you all had a call today.
Yeah,
anything coming up there?
That's the more interesting update. Growth Wheel, just quickly, we've got people have moved through the program and they're using it. So that's great. Maybe somebody who's done the training wants to talk about it actually instead of me. So muster up the courage now while I give a quick update about the training committee. So our group met today and refined a process for kind of inventorying what's out there right now. And so you're all going to get an email, probably via Bill, to send us trainings that you've kind of got in the pipeline, and we're going to create a shared calendar on Google for now. This is going to be something interim between now and the time that SBDC launches their portal, but that's like 6 months down the road. So we're going to go ahead and just get started with something a little bit more simple. And from there, take a look and see if there are any gaps that we want to fill as a network in offering more one-on-one level training, and we'll divide and conquer that. And our group's gonna, give you guys 2 weeks to do that. And 2 weeks from now, we're gonna meet to review that inventory and come up with some recommendations we'll bring back to the next meeting. Anything that rest of my committee members want to add? No? Okay. Big thanks to Tyler for coming up with some of the backbone materials to help us do this. Yeah, thank you. Cool. And is there anybody that wanted to say anything about the growth wheel training? Anybody who's done it and wants to share?
I guess, do we have anybody using it yet? I know it's not, you guys aren't out of it that far, but I'm interested to see how it
Yeah, so Bill, our team is using it and went through the training. I sat through the training as well. It's a really, really great, big, huge toolbox of tools. And we're still really working through how to best utilize all of them, but we have started rolling them out in some of the conversations as we work with our clients. We're finding that it's probably going to be best with those that are not real early startups, and definitely not those that are in ideation, but those that are actually on a growth path. But the tools are amazing and they are endless. I mean, they're just really, really good. The whole package comes with an online portal that you can interact with the clients that you give these sheets to, so they can fill them out and the advisors can work one-on-one directly with them as they do that. So it's really, really good. It also is serving as a really good self-training tool for, our advising team is very new, and so we're layering on a lot of training. But the way that it's put together, it provides resources and kind of the directions for them to really learn as they are implementing them. So it's really good. We're really excited about the opportunity.
Awesome. Any other updates? Any other thoughts on Growth Wheel? I know Tyler was excited by it. I think he even has like Growth Wheel propaganda all around his office now.
It would seem like it. But yeah, it's really awesome. All of the tools that are involved with it are extremely in-depth, past most of the early stage business planning stuff that I'm aware of. So, and yeah, trying to suss out the exact usage with particular clients has been interesting over the past few weeks since then. So, exploring it with some of the bigger ones that we've got.
Ayla did ask that as people introduce themselves, that remind everybody that there are new participants. So kind of tell who you are and where you're from as you go to speak. I appreciate that, Ayla. The training that they're talking about, Growth Wheel, was a package that NCIF brought to West Virginia as a group. And several of the organizations in here paid for different coaches, members, participants to go through and be certified so that they could actually use it in their processes. So what was our final number, Hannah? Around 11 or 12?
I think it was 14.
14.
And
okay.
if anybody needs help with the invoicing on the back end, just let me know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, if you need me to remind people on that as well, let me know. I think we put it in process. Sometimes the university takes a minute to kind of check, but we did put it in process. I know it's gone through, and I think it came to them finally. But yeah, it's there are a ton of models out there. It's another one of those models. I think you can see Mary ask, and I'm gonna throw this out to Judy. I guess she tagged you directly, Judy, and more. I'm sorry, I put her maiden name on the email when I did it, and she kidded me about that earlier. But how does the Growth Wheel work with co-starters, Judy? Do you have an answer for that?
Yeah, so Bill had actually asked me to talk about co-starters too. And we're layering on a ton of tools and resources at one time, which is good in a way, because as we brought them on, it became real clear that co-starters is going to be ideal for working with ideation and early startups. I mean, that is what it is set up to do. But it also, the way that the co-starters team presents that is that for anyone that is stuck. So it really is to help anyone that doesn't have a clear business model. They just don't have a clear picture. And as we all know, working with these businesses, that can happen sometimes late in the game too, if they're forced to pivot, like, for COVID reasons or other things. So it can be beneficial for at any stage if they're stuck. But where we primarily plan to use it is in ideation or startup. And then Growth Wheel is going to be more, like I said, for those that are on a real growth path. So they have had some bumps and bruises, as I often say, and have been in, actually in the business working through things. And that's where Growth Wheel is going to be best for them. But co-starters, for those of you that don't know much about co-starters, the Hive got started with them last year, and in the last year they've added some new curriculums. So they now have their core program. They have a program that's called Rebuild that's really focused on pivoting. They have causes for social impact type of businesses. They have several, and so we really like it a lot. It's an amazing curriculum. The facilitator's guide is amazing. It gives you all the tools, all of the tips for delivery. The core program is a 10-week program. We conducted one this spring and were forced to roll it online. It was classroom based. And so they have now kind of adjusted things so it can easily be done online virtually, or you can still conduct it in the classroom. The whole idea obviously is, the cohort to get the businesses working together, or the entrepreneurs working together to share expenses, experiences, share experiences. And also weekly, the curriculum is built to include a subject matter expert, but coming from an entrepreneurial viewpoint. So an entrepreneur who has worked through some kind of difficult marketing strategy or overcome accounting issues. So that is incorporated into the weekly curriculum. It's pretty amazing. We really like it. The other thing really unique about it is that they recommend that you start from the very beginning with your community, your partnership base, understanding what it is that you're trying to do. And they believe that it takes a partner, a whole strong partnership network to really be successful. And that's, any of you that have worked with us at the Hive know that that's the basis that we stand on too, and all of our ecosystem here. I know you believe in that too. So we pulled together a large group of partners. We actually exceeded the limit. We had so many partners to attend, but it was an amazing group that came together to learn about this training. And now we have just tons of support waiting for us to really get this rocking and rolling and rolled out. So it's really a great, the whole strategy that they have to put it together with a community base is just really amazing.
Thank you. That was great. I know Tyler was able to attend both of those and had good things to say about both. Yeah, I think,
Appreciate it.
with all of those, it's finding the pieces and parts that work there. I believe there's still no perfect system out there. The perfect one hasn't been designed, because it comes down to you as a person and what's your style and the entrepreneurs you're working with and where you have to meet them at. But thanks for those updates. Just so it doesn't get missed, early on, Hannah asked people, or I think was asking for a list of trainings. Hannah, those virtual, in person, whatever you've got on the calendar through like December, do you want to do that, or through the first of the year? How long?
Yeah. I'll send you an email to shoot out to people as a reminder, but that's right. Maybe through like, January or something. And then we'll do another one in the future, both in-person, virtual, and things that you might be posting online, like a recording that we might be able to refer clients to.
Yeah, I know Advantage Valley, and I'm not sure if Terrell or Marjorie are on here today, but all the sessions they've been doing over the last few weeks, few months with Faster, they've been recording and putting up as ongoing resource guides. So I know there's a lot of that information out there now for people to draw down on kind of asynchronously when they have time. We will move on. Some updates. You all should have started to see some promotion on the November eShip symposia. We're trying to get away from webinar because everybody's webinared to death. So we're trying intentionally to call them symposiums. I don't know that it really matters at all, but I just start to glaze over now. Webinar's just been, it's our last 6 months. So the symposia that we're doing, the series of 3, we're really excited about. We're kicking it off on the 10th with the real the boots on the ground practitioners and what trends they're seeing in working directly with entrepreneurs, and then coming back on the 17th with entrepreneurship and education, and how that group is helping to shape a new generation of entrepreneurs, and what trends they're seeing, and how they're dealing with COVID too, particularly, and trying to keep eShip in the curricula. And then finally, I'm super excited for the 24th to have Secretary Gonch, Secretary Warner, Mike Granny, and Rick Gilman from Education talking about what government's role in this is. And at West Virginia right now, again, I say this every month and I hope you appreciate it. It's not about this work. It's about, there's a lot of things that are just coming together so well right now in West Virginia around eShip and this ecosystem and institutional cooperation, governmental cooperation. In a lot of ways, what we've got going on is really special, folks. And I hope we appreciate that. Like Sarah was saying earlier, it's that Yay West Virginia thing. It's some of the work, thanks to everything that the people on this call are doing, is really maybe not unique nationally, but very unusual nationally for this level. So we're going to highlight all those things throughout the month of November. You should start to see, there'll be an email probably by end of the week, Tara, you think, next few days?
Very soon. And I also put the link in our group chat right here. So if you guys are interested, you can head to the website. Thank you to Almost Heaven Digital Media for creating that website. And if you'd like to register for the event, you can do so on the website.
Yes, thank you very much. And there is, Tara, if you can put up, there's a Twitter handle, stumbling over my words today, and a Facebook page also focused on the eShip system here in West Virginia, and of course starting with our symposia in November. But yeah, Harry and Carrie have been tremendous assets for us, and we really appreciate getting to work with them to start to promote the system and these events. We've already got well over a dozen signups for the event, and it really just started pushing out. So super excited about that for all three symposia. So super excited to see how that all comes together. And of course, we do want to thank Claude Worthington Benedum Foundation, the ARC, and Encova Insurance for being our financial partners for the promotion of the ecosystem and the symposia and all the stuff that we've been able to do. Their underwriting really, really helped make that happen. Any questions on the ecosystem, the push, or any of the social media interactions? We would appreciate you liking and sharing, of course, following the Twitter handle, liking and sharing on Facebook. Any questions about what we're doing? Unusually quiet group today. Tara, if you can give us a quick update on the West Virginia Business Plan competition.
I would love to. Thank you very much. I will just quickly say the West Virginia High School and Collegiate Business Plan competitions are now accepting entries. Quickly, I will just say for the college competition, we have a couple of updates for this year. We are no longer doing categories. We are open to for-profit and not-for-profit ideas. We are now open to part-time and full-time students that are degree seeking, which is huge. I know there are several people that are on my oversight committee. We had the vote about 2 weeks ago, and I'm very excited that we're becoming more inclusive in that way. The college competition, we have about a month left. Entries are due November 13th by noon. And then for the high school competition, just a couple of reminders, it's open to juniors and seniors in the state of West Virginia. That could be private school, public school, homeschool. We are now giving $1,000 to teacher classrooms if they are finalists in the competition. In the final round, they are pitching to potential investors. And then that competition, round one, the entries are due December 4th by noon. So for you guys, my call to action is if you are interested in judging, all online, or if you're interested in coaching, I would love to have you and I would appreciate your time. You can email me, or if you're interested in learning more information, I will put our website in the chat. Thank you, Bill.
Terrific, thank you, Tara. Carrie, just because I looked up and saw you, do you want to talk a little bit about your all's pitch on Thursday, the manufacturing pitch event that you've got going on Thursday?
I would love to. Thank you, Bill. Hi, everybody. Just a little update from the Launch Lab. We are hosting 2 pitch competitions upcoming. The first one is going to be this Thursday at from 5 to 7, and it's the manufactured products pitch competition. And I see Jamie's on here. Jamie's going to be judging along with 2 others from Industrial Extension. So we're really excited. This is our first online pitch, virtual pitch. And we have 11 contestants. It's our largest one we've ever had also. So we're super, super excited. It's open to the public. So if anybody would like the Eventbrite link, I can put it in the chat for anyone who would like to just observe. And then we have another one, actually it's probably more Tara's than ours. We're hosting it, but it's the Zen Starter pitch. And I don't know if I can pass it back over to Tara if you want to talk about that a little, or you're rolling your eyes. No, maybe not.
No, I'm not rolling. So I'm going screen to screen. Some of the links are broken. We had to change the social media yesterday. So I'm trying to get the correct links into the chat. So I apologize. Zen Starter, yeah. He gave us $5,000 to host a competition. So thank you, Carrie, for graciously hosting that through the Launch Lab. It is a statewide initiative, and it's kind of just to get students excited about their ideas. The idea would be that they pitch in the Zen Starter pitch competition, and then they enter into the business plan competition in November. But again, that is statewide, and it's through the WVU Launch Lab. So thank you, Carrie.
All right, yeah, thank you both. And while we're talking statewide competitions, of course, a little self-serving to talk about the West Virginia Makes Festival, the 7th annual, of course, looking different this year. On October 27th, we'll be doing a symposia. I refuse to say webinar, live event. Up until then, no, up until October 20th, video submissions are being taken, less than a 3-minute video pitch. Very broad-based for people who are making cool things in West Virginia. This year, we're actually providing some early-stage technical assistance as part of the winning package for 2 grand prize winners. We always have cash awards, and those will continue. We actually, this year, though, added a cool thing for the students. We're doing a People's Choice Award, and when you vote for People's Choice, you can actually designate a school, if that's your child's school, if that's the school of the child that you are voting for. We're going to give you the opportunity to put that in, and the school that gets the most vote is actually going to receive a 3D printer this year, and a startup package with 3D printing and some services from our CBI on making sure that it's just not a big dust collector, which too often is what happens when schools jump in and say, hey, we're going to get a 3D printer. And the first time the filament doesn't wind right, it just becomes a dust collector. So we're gonna support that and make sure that doesn't happen. But super excited about that, and the early stage technical assistance awards that are going to be part of the package this year. So not as exciting as the event that we normally hold out on the Plaza to Student Center, but a super exciting time as well. And one, I was there for the first one, and was actually on the team that helped to design the first one. So it's been part of my life now for 7 years, and super excited to see it happen. And maybe in another year, we'll be back out with people again. Anne could not be on today. She was double booked with something else. She did ask me to remind everybody, and it was on your agenda, the 2020-2021 SBIR-STTR Bootcamp Series that Tech Connect is supporting is going to be starting November 5th, and then that'll be every Thursday. So every first Thursday for 11 months, they'll be doing that boot camp. They've gotten some money to support the SBIR-STTR submission. So I did tell Ann I would mention that. What else is cool going on out in the ecosystem? Anybody that I've missed? Anybody want to give updates? Jamie, what's cool with the MEP right now?
We're working mostly with Carrie as far as that goes. So she's the funnel, and she sends us the fun stuff to work with. But we're happy to support. It's been great to kind of transition and see how that works. Would have loved to find somebody else to tell people their babies are ugly. I'm sure everybody here kind of knows what I'm saying there. So I think that's kind of fallen on us a little bit, and that's fine. We're good at it.
Yeah, well, that's part of the gig. Jamie and I sit on a whole lot of early stage technical early stage funding opportunities committees together and had to get really good at telling people that their babies were not as attractive as they thought they were. Including the perpetual motion device guys that always came in and were sure that they had cracked it, even though they had a perpetual motion device. Anybody else? What else is exciting out there? Heather, Hannah, what's going on at Woodlands? You guys are doing some exciting things up in your part of the state. What's exciting in entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so for any of you that I've not met before, I work for Woodlands Community Lenders, which is a CDFI and a community development group based in Elkins. Our program is very similar to what they do with the HIVE. We do one-on-one and group coaching and training. And I would say as a result of COVID, what we've probably focused on more than anything is helping our brick and mortar restaurants and brick and mortar retailers get e-commerce sites set up. Was pretty critical for them early on, and we've managed to touch a lot of businesses by doing that. We've also started doing the growth reel training. I'm about halfway through it. Marty, one of my coworkers, Marty Newstad, who some of you may have worked with previously through VC2, she completed it. She said it's fabulous. She has quite a few clients who are utilizing it already. She's had a couple of them sign up. It's done wonders for taking the ones that kind of have a really broad idea what they want the future of their business to look like and start to narrow it down and really figure out the step-by-step process. I'm really interested in checking out Co-Starters too. It was very informative listening to what Judy had to say about that program. So if any of you know some folks that are in the Mon Forest region, the 10 counties of the Mon Forest, that's our footprint. If you know some folks who could use a little TA assistance, especially with e-commerce programs, we'd be happy to help them. I'm going to mute it before my 6-year-old walks in the room. I can hear the disaster coming now.
It would not be the first time. And I think one of the really cool projects Heather's been engaged with is, and on a personal level, the revival, if you have not been following along, White Sulphur is doing some really cool things downtown right now. So pay attention to what's going on down there, apart from that large hotel that everybody knows about. There's been some reinvestment in that downtown, and several of the organizations on the call here have been part of it. But pay attention down there. I think that's a good news story that's gonna keep coming here in a little bit. Everybody pays attention to Lewisburg, but there's some cool things happening in White Sulphur right now.
Yeah, it's a unique situation there that you're not really going to be able to emulate in many other parts of the state. The folks that have private property in the sporting club, which is a portion of the Greenbrier, have become very personally involved in the town for the first time following the flood in 2016, and they've started investing in the downtown buildings. It's also an opportunity zone, which of course is encouraging investment as well. So they're taking these old downtown buildings and completely rehabbing all of them and offering reasonable rent rates to new startup businesses. And there's a lot going on. There's been like 6 new businesses open in the last 6 months, even during COVID. A gentleman purchased the old high schools and turning it into a boutique hotel. There's a microbrewery opening up. I mean, there really is a lot of activity. And it's interesting because, you have Lewisburg, which is very much geared towards the folks that go to the Greenbrier, right? So Lewisburg is focused on those folks, but White Sulphur, where the Greenbrier is actually at, is not. It is very much an outdoor rec focused vibe to the town. Which baffles a lot of people. They just assume that the development in White Sulphur is going to be geared towards the Greenbrier folks, and it's really not. It's everybody else that comes into that region and comes to the forest. And it's very exciting to see. They are, you've got the Mon Towns program, which is my program, but you've also got West Virginia Community Development Hub. Their hubcap programs are also focused on the Mon Towns this year. So there is a lot of layering going on that's really supporting these towns and really helping to make this development happen.
Yeah, I think it's a good story. And there's a lot of different organizations that are leveraging resources towards it. Kind of the idea of this whole system is it's going to take many hands in all these communities. And I think the one thing I really enjoy about this group is there have been very few toes and very few egos. We've all been able to work together pretty well. We are bumping up on 250, which we always try and keep these under an hour. Any other exciting stuff we've missed? Anybody have any big wins to share? Trisha
Can I
Ball, go ahead. Yep.
Hi, I'm Trisha Ball. I'm with the Marshall University Business Incubator and also the Center for Entrepreneurship in our College of Business. Since the last time we spoke, we had I'll call it a fireside chat, so I don't use the webinar word for Bill's sake. So we had a fireside chat. One of our alumni is the Chief Marketing Officer at HubSpot, which really revolutionized the concept of inbound marketing. So Ben Ing and I did a discussion, kind of fireside chat with him to talk about product-led growth and inbound marketing and content creation. So we have that on September 28th. If anyone would want to go back and watch the recording of that, we have it posted on our website, which is marshall.edu/iCenter. And we have an events tab. If you go to speakers and webinars, you can link to the YouTube video with that. Next Wednesday, so it is the 21st, we'll be having a CEO panel. So a lot of people who are local to the Huntington area, I know, attended the one that we had in February with the CEOs from PayPal and Adobe. So we'll be having our virtual version of that. And it will be a fireside chat with Brad Smith from Intuit and Jeff Weiner from LinkedIn. So it's kind of the same situation with Brad, where he was the CEO. Earlier this year, he just stepped down as the CEO and is now their executive chairman. So we'll be having that. I think the College of Business, if you follow them on any sort of social media, they've posted the registration link to that. And then we are starting a new series that's from the incubator. So we've been looking into some literature and research on entrepreneurship ecosystems and what's normally a scientific term, collision density. They've been talking about that in research, where you have more dynamic and thriving entrepreneurship ecosystems, where you have more opportunities to have interdisciplinary interactions with each other. And before, when we were running around into each other at all of these different meetings and events in person, you could randomly run into people and meet them. And that's not really happening right now. So we're starting a series called Collision Course, and it will be a virtual speed networking, kind of speed dating, but so a speed networking event. And we will do that on Zoom right after the CEO panel, and we will put people into breakout groups, and we'll randomize those every 5 minutes. So every 5 minutes you have the opportunity. Hopefully we'll get to connect some entrepreneurs with hopefully some people on this call, lawyers, accountants, anyone kind of in the ecosystem who is committed to entrepreneur success. And we're going to host the first one directly after that CEO panel, so that we have an icebreaker. What did you think of it? How did it go? What was your favorite takeaway? So when we had that event in person, I know a lot of people hung around the lobby and talked about it for a while. So this is kind of the virtual version of the hanging out in the lobby afterward to debrief on what you thought. So we'll be posting the link for registration for that probably tomorrow.
Yeah, the spring CEO panel was the craziest thing I've ever been to that wasn't like a rock concert at the Keith Albee. There were people lined up literally all over the block trying to get in to hear the CEOs talk. It was incredible. It was an amazing day, and you could have heard a pin drop most of the time in the room, because people were really listening to what the experience that those CEOs brought to us. I'm glad we're able to leverage some more interest and using the distance technology to reach a lot more people this time.
Hey, Bill, can I make a couple of
Oh,
comments?
there's Mary. Yep.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. There's going to be a statewide trail discussion, and it occurs to me that as we sit here with the ecosystem, the complementary work of businesses that support trails, this call is going to be next week, I think. And so it occurred to me as I'm sitting here that I'm going to promote either a working group or committee or something around the trails on business development that's trail supporting. And so maybe we can figure out who's the right fit for that. But there has not been a statewide trail organization for several years. And there was a power planning grant that came for one of the groups, and they have been expanding that. And there, obviously outdoor rec and trails has been a very appropriate socially distanced tourism activity. And it seems like there's probably business development that can occur specifically to trail. So I'm going to bring that up, and I just thought maybe some of you could, who have interest or whatever could be part of the follow-up to that. So anyway, news at 11 on that. But the other thing I put in the chat, but Power 2021, always promoting the Power program. It's still alive and well. West Virginia has always performed really well. Last year we slipped a little bit, but I think what we can do with sheer numbers, we still got 9 million. But anyway, we want to get a lot more than that. And we have to plan backwards for that, for programs, projects, collaborations. And if you're looking for matching funds from us, for example, we need to plan ahead. So I'd like you to be thinking a lot of this stuff that we're doing here and where these things, as mentioned, converge, sort of that collision course, Tricia stuff, wherever those things seem to come up, like maybe what businesses along trails thrive and what types and how do we create a sub-ecosystem that can support that. That's what that programming could be for. The funding is still there. We enjoy a great relationship with ARC and would encourage anybody who's thinking about a project or putting a project together. Even if you put a project together last year and it didn't make it, I would only encourage that you don't get discouraged, because I think that we should be able to look at resubmitting or retooling those proposals and have them reconsidered, because we did have some very high ranking ones that did not get approved. It's just that it gets even more competitive. And we also have to engage, make sure that our state government partners are engaged in supporting our power programs. So the last thing I'm going to mention is when we mentioned about the Monforest towns, I think I mentioned at the last call, but I'm just going to put another plug. We'll be talking to the communities on Thursday, but Benedum and Generation West Virginia have started a partnership to advance broadband deployment and help with locally driven broadband solutions. This is, broadband is a bear, and it's going to take everybody, but I think the business community especially is going to be key drivers in each of these communities and in the regions as a whole. So we're doing some data work, and we're also doing outreach relative to standing up groups locally that are interested in advancing broadband in the region. So we may be calling you. This is a leadership opportunity. This is really hard. And as I'm not telling you guys anything, but we're committed to trying to build some successes around broadband deployment in our rural communities. So those three things.
All right. Thank you, Mary. Any other good words for the day before we tag out of here? Trying to keep it under an hour like we normally do.
Quickly, we are doing our ribbon cutting event for our new facility that we're opening in downtown Beckley on Friday, 9:30 a.m. We'll have USDA State Director Chris Warner will be keynoting, and so we're really excited about that. It'll be the official open. So follow us on Facebook Live. We'll have Facebook Live sessions for the ceremony. We'll also be doing our annual awards that we normally do earlier in the year, but obviously had to get postponed. So check us out on Facebook Live if you will.
Terrific. Yeah, no, that's exciting. Any other hands? Any other waves? Anybody else? Good to see our Women's Business Center Director here today again. I'm super excited about that. I think everybody needs to be aware, and she's waving to the crowd. So a great resource that I think we need to keep stressing as a new again resource here in West Virginia. Nora, anything early on that you want to hit us with? Any good opportunities coming up?
We just have some webinars coming up in partnership with the SBA. So I'll send a list around, but we're kicking off October 27th with a how to become a certified woman-owned business, and also offering some sessions on how to successfully navigate Small Business Saturday and the whole holiday selling season in times of COVID. And then we're going to, for Veterans Day, do a webinar on veteran-owned small businesses with an emphasis on female veterans. We have quite a few in West Virginia, and some of them are running some successful small businesses, so that should be a lot of fun. And then early December, we'll be looking at I hate to say post-COVID because I'm going to jinx it, but it's, business planning for the next year, and beyond in times of COVID. So those are just some things out of the chute, but we're open for business. So
Yeah.
send clients our way.
Yeah, super cool. I look forward to working with you guys on some projects. We have some great women-owned businesses that have come through with products. So interested to see what, connecting them on to the next level of resources.
Yeah, can I just say the women are active in West Virginia. We're seeing lots of women-owned businesses and many in some what I'll call the traditional sectors in which we've always seen women business owners, but we're seeing quite the range in both size of the business and where they are in the startup or mature business phase. It's really amazing. So, and again, I know that Judy mentioned things like the growth wheel training, the co-starters, we're using those as well. And, so working with, people in the ideation stage right up through people who've been in business for a long time and are looking for some assistance for whatever that next step might be. So yeah, it's exciting. Go West Virginia women. I'm so impressed with what I've seen so far. It's great.
As the 7th, 8th generation son of West Virginia women and the guy that married a West Virginia woman, I can hardly agree. They're some of the best in the world.
And one more thing I'll throw in, Bill, is that we are also working at the SBA's directive, which I think is fantastic, with HBCUs in the state of West Virginia. So we've been working very closely with Tiffany at West Virginia State's EDC. Hope to do some things with Bluefield State as well, and really looking to also serve the minority community. And I know we often say women and minorities, but there's women minorities or minority women. And we want to make sure that we're offering some things to that market sector as well through the Women's Business Center. So really socially and economically disadvantaged groups is who we're serving. And certainly white men who run a small business are welcome at the Women's Business Center. We do not discriminate. Happy to help them as well, but just focused and targeting traditionally underserved markets. So
awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, folks, we're bumping up against it. So unless anybody's got a burning desire, we're going to call that it. Thank you, everybody, for the week. I think Sarah had to jump off, Biller, but it was great to have them on. And if you have ideas for new and emerging programs that you think the ecosystem would want to hear about, we've been doing that once a month, and we're going to keep doing it. So I think it's important. I learn things every month, even from partners I already know. So thanks, everybody, and we will see you again next month.